Hello all, welcome to another session in this course. As part of this session, I'm going to cover the next topic, that is using hasOwnProperty method in JavaScript. So let's begin. So what is the topic for this session? How to use hasOwnProperty method in JavaScript. So what is this method will do? It will check whether a particular object property is there in the object or not, and it belongs to itself or not. So this particular method will return true for all the object specific properties, but will return false for the properties which are inherited by the object from other object. Okay. So you need to understand this. So there is a difference between in operator and in operator, which I covered in the previous session, and this hasOwnProperty method. There is a difference. The in operator will return true for all the properties of the object, whether they belong to the same object or they are inherited from a different object. Doesn't matter whether the properties of a particular object are inherited or they belong to the object. It will return true. If the object is not there, then only it will return false, right? But coming to the hasOwnProperty method, it will only return true for the properties which actually belong to the object but not inherited from the another object. Okay, the properties which are inherited to this object from another object, for such kind of properties, hasOwnProperty method will return false. Okay, so that's the only difference between in operator and hasOwnProperty method. Now let me show you practically. Let me go to this Visual Studio Code where I'm going to create a new JavaScript file as own.js. Okay. Let me create an object. I'll simply say let person is equal to name colon. I'll just give a name. Okay. Comma experience I'll give colon. I'll just give some experience and I'll give a method. Okay. I'll give a method here. Just write down welcome. That's it. So there's one object I created, guys. Let person is equal to kind of stuff. Now in this kind of situation, if I write console.log and not con yeah console.log, and if I simply say the object person dot has own property, okay, is the person object has its own property as name. So has own property method will return true in this case because this property belongs to this object only. It's not inherited from any other object. So name actually is created inside this object. So name property is created inside this object. So it has its own property. So this should be returning true here. Okay. We should get true here. So let me do one thing. Let me run this as -own.js. Is it true got written? So similar things will happen for experience and grade user also because these properties are created. Okay, these properties are created inside the person object itself, and these are the properties of this own object. So has own property will return true. So person dot has own property, and if I write here experience, here also you will get true printed. And if I write console.log person dot has own property, and if I write here greet user, and this property is also created in the same object itself, it belongs to the same object itself, it's not inherited. None of these properties are inherited from any other object. So has own property method will return true in all these cases. You see, all the things came true. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create another object. Okay, I'm going to create another object like this, and here I'll say location colon, or I'll do one thing, and here I'll do something like let user is equal to let user is equal to, I want to create a replica of this person here. Okay, I like to create a replica of this person here. How? Object dot create, I'll say, and here I'll give person. Okay, so using this person, existing object, we are going to create a new object as a replica of this person. Now in this case, if I say user dot has on property, you see all these properties like name, experience, grade, user will be inherited into user object using this, which I already covered in one of the previous sessions here. Okay. So if you don't have the knowledge of this object dot create, just go to the previous sessions and come back here. Okay, fine. If I write object dot create a replica, a new object will be created as a replica of this person containing all these properties, but these properties are not directly belonging to user. They are inherited from the person object to the user object. So in that kind of situations, if I say user that has own property name means user doesn't have its own property known as name. It is an inherited property. In this case, we'll get false here. Okay, here if I say user has own property experience means here also will get false because user doesn't have its own experience property. It is inherited by from the person object. User dot even this method is also inherited, but not user doesn't have its own property known as greet user. So all these cases will get false here. So let's see whether the same thing is happening or not. You see, we all got false here. Okay. What if I add some property like, location is equal to, if I give Hyderabad or something here, in this case, what will happen if I write console.log, if I say user dot has on property, and this location is not inherited from any other object. We are creating the location directly in the user object only. So in this case of location, has on property will return true in this case because this property belongs to the user object only, right? So let me clear this and run this code. You see, finally true came. So hope guys you understood what exactly is has on property method in JavaScript. So here I have collected some notes. Let's refer to the notes to see whether I have missed anything as part of the explanation as a reference. Let's see these notes. Okay. hasOwnProperty method in JavaScript is used to check whether an object has a specific property as its own property rather than inheriting it through the prototype chain that is from other objects. Okay, it has you have to use something like this. We already know. So if property exists directly in the object, if the property belongs directly to the object, then true. If it is inherited or doesn't exist, false. Okay? For example, if that property is not there in that object, or if it is inherited from any other object also, it will return false. That's what is the thing here. Okay. So that's it, guys. That's all about has on property method in JavaScript. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye bye.